Breaking right now, an extraordinary row has broken out between JK Rowling and Owen Jones over what drugs the far left loser was on during his total meltdown with Piers Morgan on the Uncensored show, where he was destroyed over the issue of Bob Villain. Now, this has led to some extraordinary headlines. Owen Jones blames drugs for Morgan interview bomb, but insists I wasn't on cocaine. A lot of this was prompted by JK Rowling, who responded to a punter on X who had said someone's feeling energetic, responding, I've never seen film footage before where only one character has been sped up to 30% of natural speed. Jones replied, I've got ADHD, Joanne. It comes with the territory. Now we've cleared that up, what's the explanation for the world's #1 women's rights defender saying zero, zilch, nada about the impact of Israel's genocide on Palestinian women? He went on, and given JK Rowling decided to amplify false claims that I take cocaine before going on TV, I wasn't on cocaine, no. I was on amphetamines, specifically Ilvance, 40 milligrams, courtesy of the NHS. It helps ADHD, but it's not a miracle drug, so sadly doesn't cure fast talking or clumsiness. So he has admitted to being on a form of speed during this total embarrassment with Piers Morgan, but says that it is for clinically diagnosed ADHD. Well, I'll get the response from the superstar panel, Peter McElvenna and Susan Hall, in just one moment. But first, let me just take you through this car crash interview and why there have been so many, shall we say, concerns, fears for Mr. Jones, who just didn't look well at all. Can you believe that more than half of you are watching this video but not subscribed? So please do me a huge favor, click the subscribe button now, turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to all of our brand new Outspoken videos.
I believe the people in the audience. I do not believe thousands of people attending Glastonbury were supporting that. And what I find actually even more grotesque, to be honest, and this is what I find grotesque, that view, which I don't support, I don't support killing anyone, which is what IDF soldiers shouldn't be sent.
Then we agree.
Shouldn't be sent into Gaza.
Well, then we agree.
To kill and therefore be killed.
Hang on, then we agree.
No, your guests.
You don't believe in killing it. I agree with you.
Your guests, who you treat as respectable people, come on this show, have more extreme views than he does. No, because if I was Israel, I would create a single state.
So what would you have done? Nothing.
Well, what I would have done is, if I was suddenly the Israeli state, probably what I would have done is dealt with the underlying causes of what happened and sent.
You wouldn't have responded to that.
Well, you would send the soldiers in the here and now to prevent civilians on the borders. On the borders, they failed to defend because they were in the West Bank committing a pogrom at the time, Piers. But
you wouldn't have gone after the people that did it if you'd been.
Everyone who commits war crimes needs to be held, sent to justice. The international.
No, that's not my question.
No, but the international criminal. Yes, it is.
Do you believe that Israel had a right to defend itself?
Gaza, as you know, under international law, wasn't another state. It's occupied legally as per international law.
But all the terrorists came from Gaza.
He doesn't look well. He doesn't look well at all. But maybe it's just all of those terrible views which have finally sent him mad. But I mean, even Piers at one point seemed to be seriously concerned.
Haven't exterminated the vast majority of the Rohingyas.
I prefer to wait.
Sorry.
You're right.
I'm getting excited.
You're getting nervous, aren't you?
Very excited.
Peter McElvenna, Susan Hall with me now. I mean, Susan Hall, this is a guy who's made a lot of TV appearances, right? Very odd that he's gone out there and openly admitted, yeah, I was on speed. I was on speed. That's totally fine because I wasn't on cocaine.
Yeah, and I just love JK Rowling. I really do. I think she's fantastic. And she didn't actually say he was, did she?
No, she didn't.
Just said everything was going quickly. I mean, I'm at disadvantage in as I have never taken drugs, so I don't know what they do to you. But there was certainly something really wrong with him there. But I can't stand him anyway, to be perfectly honest.
What did you think, Peter?
Well, I share soon. I actually have, and I was always worried when I grew up about whether you take drugs, what might happen. So I got scared taking them. But then there's not a confession show that way. When you watch, it's so strange because Owen Jones, you're right, has been on so many shows. Maybe he should stick to writing books. I don't know if, I guess his strangeness maybe doesn't come out in books as much as it does on screen. And he says, Piers, I'm getting excited. I mean, I will very much side with Israel, but concerned at what is happening. But no part of me gets excited about what is happening. Was he excited that you're talking about people being killed? Is that what kind of he gets off on? It's so weird. It's a topic that's very depressing in a way, because many people are getting killed, and it's difficult to see a way out of it. But of course, for Owen Jones, he can say, well, one side is perfect. But I when he was asked, what would you do? Again, I love when a journalist, I don't have much time for Piers Morgan, but when a host like that asks someone, well, what would you do? Because I think often you can just comment on things. It was a great question, but of course he didn't have a solution. He could have given some ideas. Of course, what he would do is remove Israel. That's really what he wants. And then everyone can be without a Jewish state. That's really where Owen, but he didn't have the guts to say that. But it's frustrating whenever you take the side of a group that committed the act of 7th of October, pure evil. And it's like growing up in Northern Ireland. If someone said, well, the IRA, what's wrong with them? Why are the British Army in order the IRA? Well, because they're blowing people up. Now, of course, you may say there are faults on both sides, but to put bombs in shopping centres, which is what the IRA did as I was growing up. But to actually not be angry at those who've carried out the evil, but be angry at the state that has to respond to that, and to be excited about death and destruction and violence and chaos and war, is very weird. So I think he needs to be taking other medication to really calm him down instead of getting him excited about it.
Very, very weird. I totally agree. And the thing is, Susan Hall, this is like not a normal human being. Like, can we just stop treating him as if he should be totally considered to be on the mainstream of politics? Like, he was so sexist and vile to those women within The Guardian and Observer. Some really good women there as well, like Suzanne Moore and Hadley Freeman, for example, that they were forced out of that newspaper. Like, this is a very, very, very nasty man. And don't you just find it extraordinary, Susan, that people like him on the hard left are constantly platformed in the mainstream media, when if you look at the right, it's the total opposite, where people who I think are really moderate, like Rupert Lowe, are treated as extremists, whereas Owen Jones still pops up all the time on the BBC and Woke ITV. But first, this episode of Outspoken is brought to you by Manscaped, the global leader in men's lifestyle and grooming. And I'm very excited to say the heat has officially arrived overseas. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra in the white hot special edition colorway from Manscaped, now available across the UK, Europe, and Australia too. Now, this is the same trimmer trusted by millions of men down below, now with a clean white and gold finish that looks just as smooth as it shaves. And it isn't just a pretty face. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is built to handle your most sensitive areas with care, helping reduce the risk of nicks, cuts, and irritation where it matters most. So whether you're cleaning things up for a date, a trip, or just to feel a bit more put together, the white hot trimmer makes below the waist grooming a whole lot smoother, literally. Join over 12 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. Use the code Outspoken for 15% off your entire order at manscaped.com. And let me tell you, the ladies in the Outspoken audience would really do well as using this as a fail-safe gift for your boyfriend, your husband, your son, your brother, your hard-to-buy-for best mate, because the blades are designed to glide over the skin with less tug and pull, helping the bloke in your life avoid the usual redness or irritation that comes with low-quality groomers. It's simple, it's effective, it doesn't require a whole routine. Just pick it up, clean up, and move on. Whether you're using it in the shower, on the glow, or standing over the sink before a night out, the white hot The White Hot 5.0 Ultra fits into your day without getting in the way. Plus, the white and gold design actually looks so good, I don't think you'd want to be hiding this away in the bottom drawer, right? White Hot looks, smooth results. The White Hot 5.0 Ultra brings the heat without cooking your skin. It's sleek, easy to use, and way less terrifying than whatever you were using before. Use the code Outspoken for 15% off your entire order at manscaped.com. That's 15% off with the code Outspoken at manscaped.com. But now, back to the show.
Well, he does, and he has, and he always has, and I've never liked him. I've always thought he was fairly extreme, but of course the BBC and the others just do. They go to him for comment, and I doubt that they would go for Rupert Lowe for comment. I mean, thank goodness for people like yourselves and the new media that is looking towards the right and giving us airtime. Because in years gone by, I used to just despair because everything was so one-sided. But he's objectionable in my eyes. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, it's not that I am suggesting that he should be deplatformed. You know, I'm the opposite of that. Like, I believe sunshine is absolutely the best disinfectant. But it's like, I'm sorry, if you're going to allow Owen Jones on, then you must also allow Tommy Robinson on. You know, like, this is the problem, but they don't. And they have a total hypocrisy when it comes to that. Now, Jones, one of the reasons I think was so out of control on that show, not just the speed, was also because his whole argument in regards to Bob Villan and the fact that actually Bob Villan, you know, that idiot who went to Glastonbury, I mean, total loser guy. And again, I'm with you, Peter. Like, I'm not someone who thinks that, oh, we should be locking these people up. You know, I'm a free speech absolutist. But the point is, Owen Jones had been trying to paint Bob Villan as some type of peace-loving guy. And Piers Morgan just humiliated. He just destroyed him. Watch what happened.
They were allied, many of them, to the Bosnian Serbs, who had huge amounts of sympathy for. They said it wasn't a genocide. Is it a genocide?
I believe it was.
Okay, do you think the Rohingya, is that a genocide in Burma? They haven't exterminated the vast majority of the Rohingya. Is that a genocide?
I prefer to wait.
Sorry.
You're right.
I mean, I'm getting excited.
You're getting nervous, aren't you?
Very excited.
But look, let's just conclude with things we agree about.
Okay.
Right? Is your position now about Bob Villan, given what we just watched, that when he chants death to every single IDF soldier, you would condemn that?
I don't support I don't want any soldiers to be killed.
Right.
And the way to stop that is to stop IDF soldiers committing genocide.
And just to clarify, in light of what we've just seen, would you now withdraw your defence that he was only talking about IDF being an entity?
His statement was obviously not correct. He didn't say that. But as I've said,
you wish you hadn't defended him now?
Well, I wouldn't have defended him on the basis of his statement. Because
you said he was only specifically talking about the entity, not people.
Well, that's because that's what he said, Piers.
But obviously...
that's what people...
Yeah, but he lied to you, didn't he?
Well, the statement's not true. But
he lied to everybody.
I'll say, Piers, he's less extreme than most of your guests because your guests...
That's a different argument.
No, it isn't. It isn't because you don't show...
But I take them on. Have you watched my show?
Yes, and you don't show...
Have you watched me taking on the Israeli guests recently?
You treat those Israeli guests as having respectable views. You always have. In the first month
Have you watched him the last few months?
In the first month...
Have you watched the show?
Do you support him?
I don't think you've been watching the show, have you?
I don't...
Why don't you ask Israeli Twitter or Zionist Twitter what they think of what I've been doing on the show?
All the way through...
You would know exactly how I've been treating the pro-Israel government guests.
In the first month...
And you wouldn't be saying this.
In the first month...
You haven't watched, have you? Be honest.
I've watched many of your guests who are pro-Israel.
Did you watch the interview?
Who were treated with...
Did you watch the interview?
I mean, Peter, it's sort of like two narcissists, isn't it? Competing.
I couldn't have said it better myself. It is. You can see Owen has no answer to the questions, and he starts in like an argument about something completely different. I would love to see him with Douglas Murray. I mean, the two of those that would be phenomenal. I'm sure Owen would run out crying probably after 5 minutes, or say he needed his drugs to be able to cope. But kind of that. Douglas Murray on one side, that's you on a reasoned debate with some passion, but not over the top craziness. And Owen seems to be very much of a lightweight. I'm wondering what is the purpose of him. I'm not actually sure. Maybe some people buy his books. But on the on Bob Vylan, I would love to have. I think Bob Vylan should have that opportunity. I think we should do a crowdfund, and we can send him to Gaza, and by all means, he can go and take on an IDF soldier. He wouldn't actually come out very well.
Oh, yeah. I would absolutely be supporting that crowdfunder. I think what the issue was, of course, is that all of these old clips now are coming out of Bob Vylan, and like. What he said, I'll just show you this one last part, because what Bob Vylan has said is so much worse than anything Lucy Connolly said. Again, let me just stress, it's not that I think Bob Vylan should be locked up, but we have to smash this two-tier society. If Lucy Connolly's in prison, if Wayne O'Rourke's in prison, if Judy Sweeney's in prison, then why is Bob Vylan not? Watch.
When people say the NHS will die, literally they say the NHS will die without reform, are they saying that they're going to be the mass murder of doctors and patients?
So to be clear, when you watch that rapper at Glastonbury chanting and leading a chant with thousands joining in of death to the IDF, you instinctively believe...
He said it himself. He said...
Oh, no, he said it since. So you accept then that the rapper was talking about soldiers?
No, people call for the death of the Russian army all the time.
Do you believe him 100%?
Yes.
That when he said death to the IDF, he didn't mean individuals. Do you believe that?
Well, he's actually, unlike... I mean, this is the irony. Do you know what the irony is?
Well, just answer my question first.
Yes, I do.
Because new footage has emerged.
And death to every single IDF soldier out there as an agent of terror.
I've known you a long time. I have a lot of respect for you. You just have to admit, when you hear that, you were wrong to defend him in the way you defended him. He didn't mean IDF.
People I was defending...
He didn't mean IDF, the entity, did it? But you accept now that you were wrong. He didn't mean that.
I didn't hear. I've only heard for the first time.
You've heard that. So what? Now you've heard that. Do you still say he only meant the entity?
Well, no. Obviously now he's made clear what he meant.
So you accept you were wrong.
Well, yeah, because I
know. I'm not saying you should have known.
Fine.
I'm just saying that I found the defence very disingenuous by everybody, and I felt what he'd done. And this has now been proven, I think. He'd gone on social media. He'd seen people coming up with this ludicrous defence that he only meant the entity. And then, and knowing what he'd said on stage, he issues a statement saying the complete opposite that he's read from people like you defending it. And now he's made all of you look like complete prunes.
Susan Hall. Susan Hall, he is a complete prune, isn't he?
Oh my goodness, how wonderful. I hadn't seen any of that. Yes, I mean, he is a lightweight. You just said it, Dan. He's a complete lightweight. The problem is that people like that defend people like that. I've forgotten his name now, that ghastly man at Glastonbury. And you can't defend that. And with regard to the people in prison at the moment for the things that they've said, and then you look at that, it's two-tier again, isn't it? We go back to why everybody is so cross about everything. The Brits love fairness, even if they think, but at least that's fair. None of this is fair, and we're going into more and more situations that the British do not think is fair.
Totally. The problem is, I think, for our side of the argument, is it can sometimes be a little bit too easy to say, lock them up too. Do you know what I mean? Whereas actually what we should be saying is, no, let's protect free speech altogether. Yes. But that's why I think the movement that has developed behind Lucy Connolly has been quite a wonderful thing. But what a wonderful superstar panel today. Susan Hall, keeping Sadiq Khan honest in London. And my God, we need someone to do that, Susan. So I know it's difficult. I don't know how you sit there and face that absolute horrible man each week, but you've got to do it because he's vulnerable at the moment. We've seen that with that BBC reporting. And Peter McElvenna, host of the Hearts of Oak podcast, which I think I'm going to be appearing on later in the week, which I'm very excited about. So thank you both so much. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.